And now it's time for Rosie.
In 2009, the Saturday Rub brought you the iconic
World according to the Cool Breeze.
And now, it brings you
Cool Breeze Chronicles.
That's where Damo hangs on to his pills to get a bit of...
We started this
Chronicle.
last week, Spud, and we now
it's
go
gold.
back to 1984. And for those who are catching up with this was a collection of material sent to Triple M Studios
It's,
about a month ago, and I'm waiting
Everyone's
to...
tuning in, Brian. Worry with this.
We're going to go to 84, Duck and Spud.
I loved your little stinger. That's one of the best
84.
stingers I've ever heard.
84. He's still at Richmond at
He's
this
84.
stage. Still at the
And
Tigers.
He's going well at this stage of his presentation here. You started the year well like your club did, BT, but as we'll unfold and uncover in the next few moments, things turn awry. So we get to a game early in the season. Richmond beats St Kilda in a game in which you were playing in, Spud, by about, it looks like about 13 goals.
Yeah.
And there's a reference written
got
by
touched up.
Gary Hutchinson here in the Age. The trouble was that Brian Taylor is so big and strong when he stands his ground, and that it's difficult for anyone to get around or above him. When he sticks his backside out, a fullback needs mountaineering equipment to get around it. And when he gets a grip or two in front on the lead, only a cliff could stop him. Now, you played him on him this day, Spud, and you actually got a little bit of a good reference here. As it was, Frawley, in his sixth game, did pretty well playing in front when he could, but being beaten by some splendid long-distance passing. So that was early in 1984.
Kick 7.
I think it was the day you cried, Spud.
No, he kicked 7 on me.
Did he?
Yeah, kick 7.
Yeah, well, Gary Hutchinson gave you a good rap there.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh,
we go to later in the season, Duck, and by this stage, BT has kicked 61 goals.
Yeah.
The back page lead story on the Friday morning before a late season game written by the great Peter Simonovic in the Sun.
Yeah.
The VFL's two highest paid full forwards, Calvin Templeton and Brian Taylor, were dropped last night from their teams for tomorrow's VFL round.
What happened?
Well, we go a little bit deeper into the article.
Yes.
We
This
go a little
is,
bit deeper into
he
the
played at
article.
Moorabbin.
Taylor, who has 2 years to serve of his big contract, has kicked 61 goals this season. It is the second time he has been omitted this year.
Round 12.
This is the bit I like. Brian Taylor said last night, I'm not happy about the decision. I asked the selectors, where do you want me to play? In the first, seconds, or elsewhere? It was simple as that. And I didn't get an answer. And then
Did they say
Peter
why he's
Simonovic
dropped?
goes, Taylor heatedly clashed with Richmond coach Mike Patterson and selectors after being told he was dropped.
I think this was an indiscretion off the field, Warrior.
Well, we'll get to that. We're going to get to that. But see, what happened in those days too, for people who are younger than we are, there was an afternoon paper called The Herald, and Mike Sheen was the leading man, Duck.
Yep.
He picks up The Herald, The Sun, and then delves deeper into this Brian Taylor scandal. And he writes a whole column on it. And he reports this about Brian Taylor. It picks up on Peter Simonovic's article, but in truth, Richmond and Taylor are disenchanted with each other. He is widely regarded as capable, yet lazy, and lacking the commitment to perform up to capabilities. At Moorabbin last Saturday, he looked too heavy, light on for interest, and petulant.
And got a real hiding down at Moorabbin, Duck. Someone got 3 Brownlow votes in that game.
Now we get to the nub of the real issues with Brian and Richmond. Mike Sheen goes into deep detail about the problems there with Brian Taylor. Taylor owns up to stories of appearances at hotels the night before games. And this is a quote. This is a quote that Brian Taylor has given Mike Sheen as a 22-year-old footballer. I do go out to a restaurant most Friday nights. I've been to places like the Faulkner Club and had a few drinks when I felt like a drink. I'm home by 11 or 12 o'clock and I don't drink enough or stay out late enough for it to have an effect. I know I sleep a lot better for doing it. So that's caused a few little problems, Stuff, because then Peter Simonovic then picks up the story the next week's Herald Sun.
So it builds again.
Sun. Richmond is believed to have taken action against full forward Brian Taylor following public criticism of the club last week. And there's more detail about that. You then get another speculative piece written by Mike Sheen about a 2-week ban. And then, back page, Sun. out and a fine. Disco Brian set
Disco Brian.
Disco Brian set a bad example. Richmond has suspended and fined Brian Taylor in a bid to eliminate the shabby discipline at Punt Road. And Ian Wilson, who was the chairman at the time, has issued that fine, and you got a fine, BT, and a couple of weeks suspension, and
5,000.
You in an impromptu press conference.
5,000 back then.
5,000 2 weeks ago.
That'd be what? That'd be just about 50,000 now.
The real story behind that, Warrior, was a mate had arrived from Perth and said, "Look, I heard the Richmond Disco is pretty good."
Yeah, this is after the Faulkner Club.
I said, "Kenny, it's Friday night before we play St Kilda down in Moorabbin tomorrow." I said, "Well, look, I can't come out with it. But look, okay, I'll get you into the because it was hard to get into a big queue there, and I'll leave by midnight at the Richmond Disco. Not the best place to go to if you're playing for Richmond." I left at 4 a.m. Dragged out of there at 4 a.m. by my mate. So
on the day of the game.
On the day of the game.
Well, when you got told of this suspension, and this is Peter Simonovic's exclusive article in The Sun, Taylor said he was not happy with the decision, but, quote, "I accept it. Any player would find it hard to accept losing what he's getting paid and stop doing what he does best." And then Taylor did not lose his sense of humour after the meeting. Within 30 minutes, he had changed to shorts and a T-shirt and went for a run around the Botanical Gardens. When asked where he was going, he said, "The Richmond Social Club, Faulkner Club Hotel." In an impromptu press conference, Taylor said, "I feel it is best for me not to say anything more." So you were 22 years of age, BT, and
I don't remember
you weren't at the footy club.
You remember it all, Brian.
No, I remember it. No, I wasn't there next year.
No, you weren't there the next year.
Yeah. And
with 2 years to run of a
But
contract.
it's fair to say that year, the Friday night down at
got out
Richmond
of hand.
Got out of hand.
Feel a
It
little
was,
bit-
it was
did you
week
feel-
after week. It wasn't just a one-off, Brian.
Richmond Disco, for those
Yeah.
that know it, Richmond Disco was like, leave your guns at the door when you go in, because it was a pretty heavy sort of place, but it was pretty full on.
Do you
So you
feel
go
that-
out and have 6-8 beers and then go to sleep and then a bit more?
28 beers, I
But
reckon.
I do vaguely remember that because I got smashed in that first time and went because I built myself up for 12 weeks. I thought not only did he beat me physically, and I did nearly sook up, he kicked 7. So I was built up to this is D-Day for me. I had no idea he'd been out till 5, but I knew nice and early when I just sort of. There was a southerly wind, the waft of the breath of Brian, that real stale grog smell. I thought, this bloke's had a couple last night.
He still kicked
and
7.
I grew.
that is,
The rabbit on a Saturday
that
after
is
a
great
big
stuff,
night.
Damo. Well done.